The night I found out, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't break anything. I didn't call anyone. I just sat in my car, in a dark parking garage at 11:43 p.m. and I made a decision. By the time the sun came up, I already had a plan. This is the story of how one night destroyed everything I thought I had and handed me everything I actually deserved. Let me tell you how. My name doesn't matter. What matters is that at 28 years old, I had built a life that looked really good from the outside. Decent apartment. Solid career at a mid-sized marketing firm. And a girlfriend named Rachel, 3 years together, the kind of woman who made you believe in the whole thing. The future. The rings. The kids. The house. All of it. My boss was a man I'll call Derek. 38 years old. Sharp dresser. Expensive watch. The kind of guy who walked into every room like the room had been waiting for him. Charismatic. Polished. The type of leader younger employees look up to and think, I want to be like that someday. I looked up to him. I trusted him. That was my first mistake. For 2.5 years at that company, I gave everything. Late nights. Early mornings. Weekends sacrificed. I was the guy who said yes when everyone else was already heading for the exit. I was the guy who stayed, who delivered, who made Derek look good in front of clients, in front of the board, in front of anyone who was watching. And Derek rewarded that, or so I believed. He put me on bigger projects. Invited me into senior meetings. Told people, out loud, that I was the best asset on his team. I felt seen. I felt valued. Meanwhile, something was quietly dying at home. Rachel started changing subtly, the way things change when someone is slowly redirecting their energy somewhere else. More time at the gym. Different clothes. More excuses about staying late. Less conversation at dinner. Not fights, we weren't fighting. Just silence. The specific kind of silence that shows up in relationships when one person has mentally already left, but their body is still sitting across from you eating pasta. I noticed. I didn't push. I told myself we were both just tired, both just busy. I was wrong. Then came the end of quarter office party. Every year the company threw one drinks, food, people loosening up after months of pressure. Rachel had come before as my +1. That year she said she was too tired. She'd stay home, she said. Rest up. Fine. I went alone. I was midway through a conversation, laughing about something I don't even remember now, when my phone buzzed. It was Marcus, one of the only people at that job I genuinely called a friend. The text said, "Hey man. Where are you? I just saw Rachel's car in the parking garage. I think she's here." I read that message 3 times. I texted back, "That can't be right. She's home." He replied immediately, "Bro. It's her car. I know that bumper sticker." And just like that, the laughter around me became background noise. I set my drink down. Slowly. And I walked out of that hall. The offices upstairs were mostly dark. Everyone was at the party. But there was one office with the light still on. Derek's office. The door wasn't fully closed. And before I even touched it, I heard her laugh. Rachel's specific laugh, the comfortable one, the relaxed one, the one she made when she felt completely at ease with someone. The one I used to think she only made around me. I pushed the door open. I will not describe in detail what I saw. You already know. What I will tell you is this: Derek's expression in that moment was not guilt. It wasn't even embarrassment. It was something much worse. It was inconvenience. Like I had interrupted a meeting. Like I was the problem for being there. That look is what changed everything. I didn't yell. I didn't throw anything. I turned around, walked out of the building, and sat in my car in the dark for 2 hours. Rachel came home eventually. She had been crying. She sat down across from me in the living room and she used words like, "It just happened and I didn't mean for it to go on this long." This long. That's when I understood. This wasn't a mistake that happened once. This had been going on for months. She didn't say how many. I didn't ask. I didn't want specific footage in my head, I already had enough. I asked her to leave. She cried more. I stayed very, very calm. Not because I wasn't in pain. I was. It felt like someone had reached into my chest and rearranged everything inside. But somewhere in those 2 hours sitting alone in that dark parking garage, I had made a decision. I was not going to fall apart where they could see it. I was going to be strategic. By 5 a.m. that night, I had a plan. Here's what most people don't understand about being betrayed by your boss specifically. It's not just personal. It's structural. Because now, suddenly, you see the entire workplace with completely different eyes. You stop being loyal and you start being clear. You see what you actually built, what you actually know, who actually depends on you versus who was just taking credit for it. And I saw something Derek had never bothered to notice, because he'd been too busy feeling untouchable. I was the relationship. He was just the name on the contract. Over the past year, I had been running our biggest client account, a full rebranding campaign, end to end. Derek had handed it to me because I was, in his own words, the best person for the job. I managed everything. The strategy. The creative direction. The budget. The client calls. The trust. The client didn't know Derek. They knew me. And quietly, in the weeks that followed that night, I started making moves. During the day, I performed at an even higher level than before. I needed a clean record. No ammunition for Derek to use against me. I was professional, I was present, I was excellent, and I was furious on the inside in the most productive way possible. At night, I was rebuilding. I reached out to industry contacts. People I'd met at conferences who had said the words, "Let me know if you ever want to make a move." I had a particular conversation in my mind with a man named Alan, CEO of a smaller but fast-growing competing firm. We had met once at an industry event and he had looked me in the eye and said, "If you ever leave where you are, call me first." I called him. We met for coffee. I showed up with a 30-page business proposal, unsolicited, fully developed, built in evenings after work, fueled by coffee and something close to controlled fury. Not rage. Fuel. Alan flipped through it slowly. Then he set it down and looked at me. "When can you start?" We negotiated for 2 weeks. I asked for a title 2 levels above what I currently held. I asked for a salary that made my old one look like a rounding error. I asked for equity in the company. He said yes to all of it. But I wasn't done. 3 days before my resignation, I had coffee with the VP of marketing at our biggest client. A woman named Sandra who had worked with me closely for over a year. She trusted me, not the company, not Derek, me. I knew this because she had told me directly, multiple times. I told her I was leaving. She was disappointed. I told her where I was going. She was interested. She asked what the difference would be for their account. I thought about it for a moment and then I said, accountability. And me, actually running the account instead of managing upward. She laughed. Then she got serious. Send me a proposal, she said. I sent it within 24 hours. They signed the following week. That client represented 22% of my old company's annual revenue. I tendered my resignation the Monday after. Derek called me into his office. He was calm, that specific practiced calm of a man who thinks he's always in control. He asked if this was about what happened. I told him it was about a better opportunity. Professional. Clean. Untouchable. He shook my hand and told me I was making a mistake. I smiled and thanked him for everything he'd taught me. And I meant it because he had taught me something. Just not the thing he intended to. The week after I left, he had to walk into a board meeting and explain why the company's biggest account had walked out the door at the exact same time as the person who actually managed it. Marcus kept me updated. It was not a smooth meeting. Questions were raised about Derek's leadership. About his judgment. About what exactly had been happening under his watch. 6 months later, Derek was moved to a different role. Lateral, they called it publicly. Everyone in the industry understood what that meant. As for Rachel, after that night, we barely spoke. She tried. Texts, calls, one handwritten letter she slipped under my door. I read everything. Responded to almost nothing. Not as punishment, there just wasn't anything left to say. The relationship ended the instant I pushed that office door open. Not a slow death, instant. I heard through people we knew that she and Derek kept seeing each other for about 2 more months. Then that fell apart too, messily, the way things built on betrayal usually do. When I heard that, I won't pretend I felt nothing. I felt something. Not happiness, more like confirmation. That what they had was never real enough to survive without the thrill of secrecy. That I had not lost something precious. I had been released from something hollow. I wished her well. Genuinely. Not for her sake, for mine. Because carrying bitterness about Rachel would have cost me energy I needed elsewhere. 2 years later, here is where things stand. Alan's company has grown 40% since I joined. I run an entire division. I manage a team of 12 people, and I lead them the way I always wished I'd been led, with transparency, with honest feedback, with credit given where credit is due, and without ego games. The client I brought over has since referred 2 more companies to us. One of those is now our second largest account. I live in a better apartment. I sleep better than I have in years. I started cooking, something I never expected to enjoy. I started running again, which I had completely abandoned during those years of pouring everything into a job that wasn't investing back in me equally. And the thing I am most proud of, I never leaked anything. Never made a scene. Never sent an angry email. Never posted anything bitter. Never called Derek out publicly. Never let them see me fall apart. I just quietly became the version of myself that proved them wrong. That is the only revenge that actually satisfies. So if you're listening to this right now and you're going through something similar, betrayal at work, betrayal in love, or both at the same time, which is a specific kind of pain I hope very few people experience, I want you to hear this. The worst moments in your life have a strange way of showing you what you're actually made of. Pain strips away everything comfortable. And when the comfort is gone, sometimes what's underneath is sharper, clearer, and more capable than you ever had to be before. I lost a girlfriend and a mentor on the same night. and in losing them, I found something better. I found out exactly what I was worth. And then I went and proved it.